To Justice, Judge Jeanine Pirro. This is happening right by my house. This is happening to people kids who just want to go to school, and they're being kidnapped and killed.
Well, you know, just a few months back, 2 young girls in that same area were brutally beaten, one beyond recognition, with baseball bats and a machete from that high school by MS-13 gang members. They were one at least was illegal. If you'll recall, they came into this country in 2014 under the Obama administration policy of allowing in those from Central America, El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. I was one of those people saying, look, as a DA, MS-13 is from El Salvador. They are, without a doubt, the most violent gang where initiation involves beating someone to death in front of other people.
And they tagged at their existence.
They tagged their existence. They came into this country. They told Border Patrol, I'm MS-13. I'm a gang member, and the Border Patrol could not stop them. They've got all of the indicia of being gang members, all the tats, and they have been allowed into this country. The Obama administration flew them all over. They're in your schools, folks. They are in with your children in school. Now, the 2 young girls who were murdered, and I had the parents on my show Justice a few weeks back, that's not the last group of parents you're going to see. These 4 young people, 16 and 2 18-year-olds, and then a 20-year-old, all of the indicia of MS-13, homicides, brutal beating with sharp instrument. The girls were with baseball bats and machetes.
Found in the woods.
Found in the woods, just murdered a couple days ago, and there is a witness. There is a witness, and that witness knows that one of the killers, apparently MS-13, one of the kids in high school said on his posting, I don't want to do this anymore, I want out. And of course, you cannot get out, so it makes sense that he would be murdered.
Judge, this is like the ISIS of gangs. What is President Trump or local authorities, what can they do to stop
Well,
this?
you know what? General Sessions was at the border this week in Nogales, and amazingly, he was talking about the fact that not only are we going to make sure that we prioritize these cases, but if you're a gang member, we're going to move these cases right through the system faster than the other cases. And in fact, I'm interviewing General Sessions this afternoon in D.C. I'm going to talk about this issue. Look, General Sessions is a prosecutor. He gets it. Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, I don't know what these people were thinking, but they have brought in these people are almost
guess who they're taking advantage of? Lower and middle class people who are already in economically stressed areas and can't defend themselves against these gangs and don't get the support they need. Meanwhile, you have something really exciting going on. Week 2 of your syndicated show.
Yeah, my broadcast network show. And this week, You, the Jury, is engaging in the American public. They get to vote. This week, online racism. A guy posts a 3-year-old son of a coworker, African-American. His friends then post racist comments. The mother is devastated. And so this case tests the limits of free speech. Should you be responsible for something that your friends post on your Facebook? And You, the Jury, allows America to vote on some of the most hot-button issues. What are the limits of free speech? The Constitution, the First Amendment. I'm the host. You can vote. Your vote matters.
That's great.
Does. Tune in.
Let's take a clip.
Oh, you got a clip?
Yeah.
The Post heard round the world. An innocent picture or racist attack?
You launched him into that firestorm with those racists.
This disgusting Facebook post, those are not your words.
No. All you had to do was hit delete. Why didn't you do it?
It's now your chance to decide.
You, the Jury. All new Friday at 9/8 Central on Fox.
How exciting.
It is. It is.
So good.
And I'm
watch
thrilled.
tonight.
It's on Fox, too.
And I love that we know all the lawyers, sadly, because of their controversial
These
cases.
are the best lawyers in America. I was fascinated with them. I mean, they're in this courtroom that is like a gladiator set, and they're the best of the best.
So you're the host.
I'm the
hostess of the show, and then you have these attorneys that are on there as well. Are they the same attorneys?
No, different attorneys each time. And then at the end, the litigants face off in the summation. You don't have the lawyers arguing closing arguments. You have the litigants. You see the pain, the passion, the anger, the human drama, the emotion, and then America decides.
Wow. It's a cool concept. When I first thought about
it.
Someday you'll have the same excitement about being on our couch.
I love being on your couch.
Thank you, and we'll watch you this weekend.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks, Judge.
All right, meanwhile, coming up straight ahead, get this. This is a Fox News Alert, brand new video just in, showing the exact moment a bomb explodes in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region, where at least 36 ISIS fighters have lost their life. That's right. Welcome to the final hour of the week on Fox and Friends. And guess who's here? Do you recognize him?
Geraldo Rivera.
Barely,
Hey,
barely.
Geraldo. Geraldo, that video's black and white.
Good morning.
But that is what freedom looks like. That's the red, white, and blue.
Well, one of my favorite things in the 16 years I've been here at Fox News is watching bombs drop on bad guys. And you know, I have some experience in that exact part of Afghanistan going back to December 2001, the first of my 11 assignments in that country, where we dropped what was the forerunner, maybe you call it the father of the mother of all bombs, the Daisy Cutter. Daisy Cutter, 15,000 pounds of explosives. This is 22,000 pounds of explosives. Like then, now we had a successful hit. You know, almost 24 or more, actually 36 bad guys killed. It's not going to win the war, but it certainly sends a message.
Well, and President Trump, as a candidate, promised he was going to bomb the bleep out of ISIS, and unlike President Obama, he just did that. So what kind of message is this sending to commanders on the ground, to our enemy, or to geopolitical foes?
Well, I think, first of all, in Afghanistan specifically, ISIS is a relatively new phenomenon. Remember, Al-Qaeda is the Sunni extremist group that rules in Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda, with the foreigners in Afghanistan, the Taliban is the local extremists. ISIS is a relatively new metastasizing of this threat. So they were in an area, thankfully, where there were not many civilians around, if any. It was a tunnel and cave complex, and they hit it with this devastating weapon. And the message has to be, we're coming for you. You know, I had a bully in high school, a guy named Richie. You never knew what Richie was going to do. Richie had he'd have a temper. Sometimes he'd want to kill you, and sometimes he'd let you go. I like that they think that Donald Trump is like Richie from my high school. I want the bad guys to think that he could do anything to them at any moment, and I think that has a positive impact. But I think you have some footage from December of 2001 to give you an idea of what it's like on the ground, to see the aftermath of the devastating explosion. It blows your ears out, even if it doesn't kill you. This is the cave complex in Tora Bora, also in the White Mountains. You can see how deep they burrow.
Miles away from where this bomb was dropped, in the same area.
Same stone's throw away. The good news is the bomb hit, didn't kill any civilians, killed all these bad guys. The bad news is, 15 years after this video, we're still in the same neighborhood, still fighting the same enemy. This time they have a slightly different incarnation. Now it's ISIS, not Al-Qaeda, but it's really the same.
The blast radius of this bomb, the mother of all bombs, is a mile. So when that video, I was reading this morning that even if it doesn't disrupt the entire tunnel, it's definitely creating rubble in the front of the tunnel and at the end of the tunnel, so that they can't use this tunnel anymore.
Well, I don't know about that. You could always get a spade and a pick and dig another hole in the ground.
But does it destroy the entire tunnel?
It has because it is so concussive.
Depends on the depth.
And the blast is so fiery. It does tend to compress everything. You know, but they can always dig another tunnel. The danger with these weapons is always civilian casualties. It's always friendly fire.
The Afghan government said there was none. 36 fighters dead.
But Hamid Karzai, the old president of Afghanistan, you remember him with the green flowing robe, the man who sold us a bill of goods. He was quick to condemn it, because we can't win the Afghan war from the air. And I'm not sure if we can win the Afghan war over time. I mean, everyone's tried it, from Alexander the Great to the Russians to the British Empire, and we're still there 16 years later. But this is a good, solid message. ISIS now knows they have no safe haven. I think ISIS is wipe-outable in Afghanistan.
But Geraldo, here's the thing. If it was the Taliban, I would say, well, what is our policy in Afghanistan? What is ISIS? So, you know, if ISIS was in Cuba, we're going to Cuba. You know, if ISIS is in Syria, we're going to bomb them there. And they show up there and they start to grow, and they start to fight our guys, killed one of our guys last week, and then they're fighting the Taliban. We have a two-front war with 8,400 troops. So Senator Warren, who I always go to for military advice personally, wanted to weigh in.
As is the case with every part of Trump's foreign policy, we're all trying to understand, what is the strategy?
Do you think this was more of a message to North Korea?
You know, if we can't figure out what it means. It's sort of hard to make that a message. One of the things we want to know is what was the impact on civilians. I think it's powerfully important. You know, you go back to General McChrystal talking about the importance of knowing who gets killed in these attacks, because that's the real question about our future safety. Who's going to be out there fighting us in the future?
Can I answer the questions for us before? Doesn't Donald Trump just want to kill the people who want to kill us? President Trump is doing something that every American should support. These are the worst of the worst, Your Honor, 36 bad guys. And we have naysayers. How can even the Democrats be naysayers right now?
Well, in fairness to Senator Warren, and I appreciate the tone and the direction of what you just said. I think that it's very, very important that we kill bad guys. But there is no denying that the issue of friendly fire is a really egregious issue in Afghanistan.
Why go there first, Geraldo?
Well, I
Civilian casualties
think
happen.
that's...
We're going against an enemy that cuts off our heads.
That's fair. But I know that in Kunduz, for instance, I was there when we liberated the northern city of Kunduz from the bad guys. Taliban came back and they took it back twice, and in one of the last recaptures of the city of Kunduz, we bombed Doctors Without Borders, a clinic, by mistake, and killed a whole bunch of doctors and patients. It's by mistake, but there is no doubt that to the Afghan people, the issue, and I hate to be a bummer here, but the issue of friendly fire, civilian casualties, is a very, very important issue. That's why the headline of this attack yesterday has to be no civilian casualties. It was all vetted. We knew that the bad guys were there and the bad guys alone. Right. It was an isolated area, and look what we did. And we're going to come after you and do this time and time again, wherever you go.
And the good news is ISIS is very concerned about killing innocent people. But how do you feel about operational decision-making going to the Pentagon? Are you for that, putting the keys to our military in the hands of the military experts?
Look what happened in Syria. Yes, I am. Generally speaking, yes, I am. But it has to be with the caveat that you've got to vet these areas. In Syria, look what happened just 3 days ago. 16, 18 of our allies. I mean, you reported it, Brian. I heard you this morning.
But there you go again. That's the 1% of strikes. 99.9% of strikes our military commit don't happen that way. Yet we jump to those as if we're as bad as ISIS, which is chopping off heads and happily killing civilians.
If the people, let's just take it, we got Afghanistan, you got Iraq, you got Syria, you got North Korea, you got a lot of trouble spots out there. Somalia, not to mention Somalia and Yemen. Sure. The military has its hands full. The military is very good. You know, Senator Warren cited General McChrystal. These are excellent commanders with deep experience, and McChrystal now, of course, retired for other reasons. But I think the point has to be, do we have an exit strategy in Afghanistan, or is it just, will we be now engaged in forever war against Sunni Muslim extremism? I think the answer is yes. I also want to say about Afghanistan particularly, the really gloomy aspect of Afghanistan is that it is the largest supplier of opium, and we have all these opiate epidemics in the world. It is a failed narco state, Afghanistan. You have U.S. military bases set in fields of poppy, opium poppy, just because they're everywhere. Everybody's a drug dealer now. Tens of tons, hundreds of tons. I think that you're going to be hearing, unfortunately, our children's children will still be talking about it.
There's no doubt strategic drift in Afghanistan, and that's a very fair point. But to Brian's point, killing ISIS remains a strategic imperative for us. And so there or elsewhere, hunting them down. What he's done is given commanders the latitude to do that, as opposed to 30-year-old political appointees in the Obama White House picking and choosing targets based on their own prerogative.
This one went well. Syria 3 days ago did not go well. We are going to have ups and downs. America has to get used to the fact that we're having ups and downs. But the strategic and moral imperative of killing bad guys has to be what Donald Trump, our president, and our mission has to be. They want to kill us. We're going to kill them first. As long as they know that, and we're going to use whatever we have in our arsenal to do that, I think that we can put them back on their heels. We can take the fight to them. Let's take back Iraq. Let's finish with Mosul as soon as we can. Let's get Raqqa. Let's finish with Syria, and we'll look for them wherever they are. Let them know that we've got like Richie's in the White House, and we're going to come and whack
Geraldo's
you.
nemesis.
That I can sign up for. That's the
What
Geraldo
happened to
doctrine.
Richie? Richie, if
That's
you're
the
watching,
Geraldo doctrine.
Richie, I wonder what happened
Just
to
heard it.
Richie.
He's in jail. Let's be
Probably
honest.
is.
Absolutely.
Probably is.
how do you like me now?
All right, Geraldo, thanks so much. You know Jackie's here doing the news, right?
Right.
Hi,
Hey,
good morning,
Jackie, how are you?
Geraldo.
Nice to see you.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, that was your toss, Jackie.
Thank you. No, I caught on to that. Thank you, Brian. Breaking right now, a 20-year-old British tourist.